What's up, guys? Adam here from Backyard Gardening and Cooking. In this episode, I'm going to tell you guys about 12 vegetables that you can grow in the fall and harvest into the winter, and some companion plants to go with them. So let's garden on. Alright guys, so the first thing you need to think about when starting your fall vegetables is your first expected frost date. That's the first date on average that your region expects to get its first frost. Now, a lot of these vegetables I'm going to mention today are cold hardy, but just keep that date in mind. Before we get into these 12 vegetables that you can grow in the fall, there's one thing I need to know. If you live in zone 7 or lower, you should be starting these seeds now in August. But if you live in zones 8 or higher, you should be waiting to September to start your fall vegetables. The first vegetable on this fall gardening list are carrots. Now, as far as a variety, I recommend growing the oxheart carrot. The oxheart carrot is sweet, but not only that, it's short and fat. So if your soil is thick and not super loose, these carrots will grow very well for you. Now, as far as a companion plant, I recommend growing leeks. Now, leeks will mask the scent of carrots to help prevent pests like carrot flies. I'll be intercropping my carrots and my leeks together. That's the practice of growing 2 or more crops together so they can help each other grow better. The next set of fall vegetables that you guys can grow are cabbage and artichokes. They are both cold hardy, so that means they can take a frost, so you can harvest them into the winter. But these two are great companions because artichokes, they take up a lot of nitrogen, and cabbage, they don't really need a lot of nitrogen, so they don't compete for the same type of nutrients. The fifth vegetable on this fall gardening list is broccoli. Now, broccoli is susceptible to pests like cabbage worms, but luckily in the fall we don't have as many pests as we do in the spring. But still, to be on the safe side, as a companion plant, we want to add dill. Dill will help deter pests like cabbage worms and aphids. The sixth vegetable on this fall gardening list is kale. Now, I'm growing 2 varieties, blue curled scotch and dinosaur kale. This kale is pretty cool, it grows pretty tall, but it's a pretty fun variety to grow. But as far as a companion plant with kale, I recommend growing chives. Now, chives, they'll help prevent a lot of pests that might attack your kale plant. The 7th vegetable on this fall gardening list is lettuce. Now, lettuce really does not like the heat, and here in the south, it's impossible to grow lettuce even in the spring and especially in the summer. But finally in the fall, I'll be able to grow my lettuce. I'll be growing my lettuce in a food wall that I'm going to make out of a food pallet, so stay tuned for that video. But subscribe if you guys are finding any value in this fall gardening list so far. But as far as companion plants, some of these are going to start to overlap, but good companions for lettuce include dill and chives. These will help prevent and deter pests like spider mites and cabbage worms. The 8th vegetable on this fall gardening list is spinach. Spinach is a cold hardy vegetable, and it will bolt with even the slightest increase in temperature, making it really hard to grow in warm places like here in Texas, even in the spring and especially the summer. That's why it's the perfect vegetable to grow in the fall. It can even take a temperature as low as 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so you can harvest your spinach well into the winter. Spinach grows very well in containers, so I'll be growing my spinach in that food wall that I mentioned earlier. On top of that, spinach is a superfood, so it has vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin K, calcium, and even iron. So it's a great vegetable to grow. The 9th and 10th vegetable that you guys can add to your fall garden is celery and kohlrabi. I'm growing pink Chinese celery and giant white kohlrabi to my fall garden. These are also 2 very good companions, and they grow very well together. You also want to keep in mind that kohlrabi is in the cabbage family, so you don't want to plant other cabbage family members with kohlrabi. You don't want to attract any unnecessary pests to your kohlrabi. On top of that, you want to wait a little extra time than your other fall crops to plant kohlrabi. It needs a little colder temperatures than other crops. An ideal temperature for kohlrabi is between 45 degrees to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The 11th vegetable on this fall gardening list are mustard greens. Mustard greens' ideal temperature is between 55 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So make sure you plant your mustard greens when your region reaches that ideal temperature. On top of that, like I said earlier, some of these companion plants are starting to overlap, but it's good to plant dill with your mustard greens to help prevent some of the pests that might attack your mustard green plants. The 12th vegetable that you guys can add to your fall garden is bok choy. I'm growing Lady Purple bok choy. This variety has a lot of antioxidants. You also want to note that bok choy cannot take a frost, so you want to be sure that you're able to harvest all your bok choy before your first expected frost date. Bok choy's ideal temperature is between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Good companions for bok choy include celery and thyme. Celery and thyme will help repel cabbage worms from your bok choy. Alright guys, so that was 12 vegetables that you can grow in the fall. Remember, if you're in zone 7, you can start these vegetables now in August. If you're in zone 8, 9 or higher, you want to wait to September to start these fall vegetables. If you need some help with starting your own garden soil mix, I have a video that can help you with that. But if you found any value in today's video, give it a like, consider subscribing, and share the video. Thanks for watching.